It was supposed to be just another quiet afternoon on a lonely highway in Montana, but one tiny movement from the back seat of a passing SUV changed everything. A frightened 12-year-old girl, her wrists hidden beneath a blanket, managed to lift one trembling hand just enough to make a desperate signal through the dusty window. Most drivers never noticed. Some thought she was simply waving. But a group of seasoned bikers riding together recognized the terror in her eyes immediately. Within seconds, engines roared louder than ever before, and without asking who she was or what danger waited ahead, they made a life-changing decision that would place every one of them between innocence and unimaginable evil. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness still exists, that strangers can become heroes, and that second chances can save lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel. Every action helps us continue bringing you powerful stories that remind us humanity is still alive. The little girl's name was Grace Thompson, a cheerful 12-year-old who lived in Billings, Montana, with her loving parents. Grace spent her weekends volunteering at her local church, loved painting colorful landscapes, and dreamed of becoming a wildlife photographer one day. Her family wasn't wealthy, but they were rich in love, laughter, and faith. Everything changed one rainy Friday evening when Grace disappeared while walking home from a school art competition. Her parents searched through the night as neighbors joined police officers across the city. Search helicopters circled overhead while missing child alerts spread across television stations throughout the United States. Every passing hour stole another piece of hope from those who loved her most. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away, Grace sat silently inside the back seat of a dark SUV driven by two dangerous men who had carefully planned her kidnapping. They avoided major highways, constantly switching routes through isolated roads across Montana and Wyoming. They believed fear had completely silenced the child sitting behind them. What they never realized was that Grace remembered something her father had once taught her after watching a public safety program together. He had explained that certain emergency hand signals could silently ask for help when speaking was impossible. Those words returned to her mind as she searched desperately for one chance that might save her life. Late the following afternoon, the SUV approached a scenic highway filled with tourists and motorcycle riders enjoying the beautiful summer weather. Among them rode 5 longtime friends who called themselves the Iron Guardians Motorcycle Club. Despite their intimidating leather jackets and powerful motorcycles, each man carried a remarkable story of compassion. Michael Foster, the oldest rider, was a retired firefighter. Samuel Brooks had served as a United States Marine. Christopher Hayes owned a local repair shop and often fixed vehicles for struggling families without charging them. Benjamin Carter volunteered with veterans every weekend, while Nathan Collins mentored troubled teenagers hoping to keep them away from gangs and violence. Together they had spent years organizing charity rides for hospitals, orphanages, and disaster relief efforts. As traffic slowed near a construction zone, Grace noticed the motorcycles drawing closer beside the SUV. Her heart pounded so violently she feared the kidnappers might hear it. Carefully lifting her trembling hand beneath the edge of the blanket, she formed the silent emergency signal exactly as her father had shown her years before. For only 2 seconds her terrified eyes met Michael Foster's. It was enough. Michael instantly recognized the fear no child could fake. He quickly signaled the other bikers without alerting the kidnappers. Years of riding together had taught them to communicate with simple hand gestures. None of them hesitated. None of them questioned whether they were making a mistake. They simply trusted what they had seen in Grace's desperate expression. Instead of confronting the SUV recklessly, Michael instructed 2 riders to stay behind while another moved ahead to monitor every turn. Samuel quietly contacted emergency dispatch through his helmet communication system, providing the vehicle description, license plate, direction of travel, and their exact location. Dispatch immediately confirmed that the SUV matched the nationwide alert issued for missing 12-year-old Grace Thompson. Suddenly every second mattered. The kidnappers soon realized the motorcycles were staying unusually close. Nervous glances filled the front seats before the driver accelerated aggressively toward a remote mountain road. Dust exploded behind the speeding vehicle while the bikers followed from a safe distance, relaying every movement to law enforcement officers racing toward the area. The winding road became increasingly dangerous as sharp cliffs bordered one side while dense forests covered the other. Every curve threatened disaster, but the bikers refused to lose sight of the frightened child whose life depended on complete strangers refusing to give up. Grace could hear the engines behind them growing louder. For the first time since her nightmare began, hope quietly replaced terror. She realized someone had understood her silent plea. Tears rolled down her cheeks, not from fear anymore, but because she finally believed she might see her parents again. Several miles ahead, state troopers established a roadblock after receiving continuous updates from Samuel. Realizing escape was nearly impossible, the kidnappers attempted one final desperate maneuver by turning onto an abandoned logging road. Michael anticipated the move, positioning his motorcycle to prevent them from doubling back while the remaining riders safely blocked every possible escape route without directly endangering Grace. Within moments, police vehicles surrounded the SUV from every direction. The kidnappers surrendered after realizing they had no remaining options. When officers carefully opened the rear door, Grace burst into tears as a police officer gently wrapped her in a blanket. Michael removed his helmet and quietly smiled, relieved that the tiny signal had not gone unnoticed. The tough-looking bikers who had appeared intimidating to many passing motorists now stood silently wiping tears from their own eyes. None of them sought recognition. None expected praise. They simply thanked God that one child would finally be going home. News of the rescue spread rapidly across the United States. Reporters praised the extraordinary teamwork between ordinary citizens and law enforcement. Investigators later revealed that without the bikers recognizing Grace's emergency signal, the outcome could have been tragically different. Schools began teaching children silent emergency gestures while motorcycle clubs nationwide organized safety awareness campaigns inspired by the remarkable rescue. The Iron Guardians became symbols not of fear, but of courage, compassion, and selfless action. Several months later, Grace reunited with the bikers during a community celebration held in Billings. Standing confidently before hundreds of families, she spoke about courage growing even in moments of overwhelming fear. She explained that heroes do not always wear uniforms or capes. Sometimes they wear dusty boots, leather jackets, and weathered smiles. Sometimes they simply choose to care when everyone else keeps driving. Her parents embraced each member of the Iron Guardians with grateful hearts, knowing they had given their daughter a future that nearly disappeared forever. Michael often reflected that day had changed him as much as it changed Grace. He realized every act of kindness, every lesson parents teach their children, and every decision to pay attention could become the difference between tragedy and hope. The emergency signal Grace remembered was small, but the compassion of complete strangers transformed it into a miracle. Their courage reminded thousands of people that real heroes are ordinary individuals willing to act when someone desperately needs help. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with family and friends, subscribe to the channel, and let others experience this powerful reminder that kindness can truly save lives. Special request, please comment below with the words, "Hope still lives," if you believe one act of courage can change someone's entire future. Grace never forgot the roar of those motorcycles echoing across the Montana mountains. To many people, they were simply bikers passing through. But to one frightened little girl, they became the sound of hope, freedom, and the promise that even in the darkest moments, there are still strangers willing to risk everything so that someone else can finally find the way home.